Netflix, Amazon Prime, Hulu. But then they also used on their regular television things like Amazon Fire Stick, Apple TV, their gaming consoles. You can stream through a Blu-ray player. So CTV is connected TV, and that's the delivery of the streaming content onto a real television set. So as more and more people did that, the marketing world has changed. It had already previously had started working this direction, but COVID really kind of hit it home. And now people are looking to try and target the folks that are watching OTT and connected television. So we are going to talk a little bit further about that. The final area that people, where you're looking for them, is social media. Social media is, again, a whole other meeting for someone to put together. But basically that social needs to be set up, and really more importantly, more than set up, it needs to be monitored and it needs to be changed. Because when somebody goes to Facebook and looks like the last time you had anything posted was from 2018, you're better not having anything than having something that's really old or not dated. The one thing I say about social too is that marketing companies can do your social media for you, but one thing that social media does is it allows that interaction right at a store. So if you own a car dealership and the Joneses come in and buy a new car, you take the picture of their Jones in front of their new car, and you're able to quick throw it up on Facebook and be able to interact with those people right away, who will then share it to their friends that they just bought, that, Joneses just bought a new car. So that takes social and brings it really close to home. On more of a strategic marketing plan of social can then be interacted with a monthly campaign, looking at how you're going to do your television advertising or your radio advertising, and fill in the voids, maybe two posts a week about the new cars that are coming in. So social can be really personal, and it can also be part of your campaign on a monthly basis with a strategized calendar too. Texting, you can set up texting platforms, email campaigns where you can buy category specific lists and email out to that, or general email lists. In any event, all of this will wrap into your Google Analytics, which is the analytical part of your website. You could get a master's degree in Google Analytics. You can dive super far deep into it. You can set up all sorts of different thresholds and rules. But what most people really need to do are just to learn some of the very basics, your year over year information, how you've grown. And really what this will do is it'll provide you tracking for any of the dollars that you're spending on your digital marketing, which is key, because that's one of the finer points of digital marketing is your return on investment is very specific. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to actually build a campaign using the service that we use. And we are, for the purpose of today's meeting, I've established we are going to be a furniture store located at 211 East State Street, right downtown. So I just called us 123 Furniture, and part of my typing while we do this, and we're going to create this for spring. Today we'll present it on Monday, and our industry is going to be furniture. As we work with companies across the country, we are able to find out success stories, failures, because as digital rolled out, everybody failed at some point. So we're able to take a look at where people have successes and in furniture stores and pull some of those things nationwide into our program. So what we're going to do is talk a little bit about our regions. I talked to you earlier about where 61114 is going to be our zip code of where our furniture store is going to be. So we're going to create our display ads, and we're going to target, and I'll go ahead and show you how we can target this particular area. So we're going to do a radius search. We're going to do 15 miles of 61114. And this will load up for us, and you'll start to see that as this loads, that some of this goes into Wisconsin. Well, we're really, as our furniture store in downtown Rockford, we don't deliver into Wisconsin. So this allows us to be able to go ahead and remove zip codes, and we don't deliver out to Harvard, so that we can take that out of that area. So what that has done is it has provided us with the zip codes that we would like our ads to run in. And it's also provided us with some demographic information down below. And this is based on census data. So we know in this particular area, The male-female split is pretty much down the middle. Household income, you can see it, and then ethnicity across the board. So the next thing that we're going to do, this is going to be where our display ads are going to run. So that this is very much like direct mail digital advertising. So some of the options that you can choose for direct mail are very similar, except that instead of arriving in your mailbox, they arrive on your device. So if anybody's done direct mail, this should all be kind of familiar to you. I mentioned to you geofencing, and geofencing is an opportunity to specifically target people in your competitor's space. So for the point of our furniture store, we are going to target 3 other furniture stores in Rockford. We're going to target the Lazy Boy on Perryville in Rockford. We are going to target Vaughn's Furniture out on Auburn. Sorry, my typing's not so great today. And we are going to target Benson Stone and on 11th Street. So what this does is this provides us an opportunity to reach these people as consumers come in with their cell phones in an app. So they have, Facebook open, they come into Benson Stone. When they leave there, we are now able to track their phone and deliver ads to them. So that will look like this on our map. I have to go in and change a couple of things here quickly. So you'll see that these are our 3 maps. So these are the 3 different locations. Our furniture store is in the middle. So if somebody goes into Vaughn's or Benson Stone or Lazy Boy, we gather their information from their cell phone. Now we're able to deliver our ads from our store to those people. And that's called conquesting, and that's geofencing. People will do it with big stadiums. Pepsi does it with football fields. So it gives you an opportunity to target people who are who are currently looking for furniture, but they're shopping our competitors. So that's a nice opportunity to be more specific on some of the things that we're looking for. The next thing that we want to take a look at is our audience interests. So we're going to assume that our consumer is a female 25 to 54 who is buying furniture. So some of her interests might be arts and entertainment, beauty and fitness, books and leisure. And then we get down here a little bit further. We can go through all these and add in. But then you have news, and we also have an opportunity to target broadcast networks. So what this would mean is that your digital ads could potentially show up on the Rockford Register Star site or the radio station site or TV station site in this market or in another market if you were looking at other areas. So it's a good way to reach the local community using your digital advertising, using news. So we could go through all these. There's plenty of them. Pets and animals for women 25-54. But we're going to continue on, and we're going to create our audience. So our audience is females 25 to 54. And you can see on the right how the target size is getting smaller, and then it'll pop back up a little bit as we add more in. So far we're going to be targeting females in this age group. Our income level, because we have middle to high end furniture, so we're going to go high end with this. We don't care if there's an education. We would care if we were, say, a college and we're looking for people to go to our grad school. So we would obviously want people who had college degrees prior to it. But since we're doing furniture, we don't care, and we don't care whether they or not they have kids. So this will create a set of budgets for us. So don't freak out over the budget amounts. We're going to take out a couple of them. These are just suggested budgets. The one thing I will tell you about budgets is if you want to do something nationwide for your business, $600 a month is probably not going to get it done. So you have to pick your geography and your territories based on your budget and where they make sense and where you can spend the money, most efficiently. So what we're going to do is we're going to knock these budgets down a little bit just so we have some easier numbers to work with. and kind of give you a feel for what you would receive with that. All right, so we've actually created our kind of our little proposal, and this will help explain some of it to you. So this is where our display and our pre-roll, which will use the same geographies that we use, and then our geofencing are these identifying dots, and these were our 3 competitors that we are going to try to target. These are this is the income level and age of the people in that particular area. These were some of those interests that we selected. And based on those interests and based on our demographics, some of the websites that you're saying that you could possibly appear on, we don't guarantee, because if you're a female 25-54 and you fit all that criteria and you happen to be looking at ESPN.com, we can deliver to ESPN as well. But typically, there's kind of a profile of women 25-54. And so we bid on what works with that. This would kind of give you an idea of a budget for 6 months. Again, I just kind of played with those numbers to give you an idea that you can go wherever your budget amount is. Again, not too small, because otherwise it's not effective if you're geographically going too large. But just to let you know, with a budget, we're going to reach 91% of those people 5.2 times. Couple other things here. This is our zip coding, that just to let you know. So we can go back in and add and change and revise zip codes to make it efficient when we're done. These were the locations of our geofence, which are important. You just want to keep revisiting things. Say another furniture store opened in town, or you wanted to, somebody else was going out of business and you wanted to go after their customers. You can go ahead and do the same with that. Next, I want to show you one further step to our opportunities here that we have, and we have analytics. So the one thing about our analytics, once you get your digital campaign up and running, which is not gonna, and this is just a dummy one to give you an idea of how analytics look and how detailed. These are live analytics. So this will let you know exactly what's going on. This happens to be something that our system uses, and it's based out of California. You can receive an overview, but I'm going to show you a little bit about how the display and the pre-roll and the OTT work. So here's our display campaign. These are high impressions. This is a California base, but just to give you a little bit of an idea of where our display ads, we have our click-throughs, our view-throughs, our visits, our ad interactions, and our engagements. So these would all be localized to your particular campaign, but kind of give you an idea. You'll also be able to see your daily metrics. Something that I tell people all the time about digital advertising is it's like a bathroom scale. If you look at it every day, odds are it's not going to change a lot. So give it some time. Look at it every week, look at it every 2 weeks, or give it some time to get rolling, and then start analyzing your metrics. It does take a couple weeks for a good campaign to get up and running and start to engage with the customers that you're looking for. So you need to give it a little bit of time. The blue on this just indicates that it's a Monday, and this just shows you how our ads are delivered, how many impressions are delivered on any given day. So they're pretty steady across any given month. So you're not pushing everything towards the beginning of the month or the end of the month. You kind of optimize it across all the months. This portion is called Lift. This starts to get into some more of the weeds of digital advertising. But just to give you an idea, after your campaign's been running, we can identify how many more people who see your digital ad are, whatever percentage your lift might be, more likely to visit your website. So that's something good to note. Here are some samples of more digital ads. The more ads that the sizes we bid on, all different sizes. We can create digital ads for you, or you can provide digital ads to us. It works either way, but just to kind of give you a sample of what digital ads look like. And then here's some further interactions, clicks, and to let you know how your campaign is doing. Again, it's a one-on-one, can sit down and explain what all the terminology means, how your campaign is doing. But just know that these are all things that you can pull out of a campaign and realize how well you're tracking. Screenshots, if anybody has any co-op opportunities, we can provide screenshots to you to be able to take back for your co-op at any particular place. This lets you know how a campaign is delivering in terms of your desktop, your mobile, or a tablet. And some of the websites that they're appearing on in terms of popularity of the site, and then your geography. Again, I said this is a larger one in California, so it breaks out by cities. But ours would break out that 61114 example that we did, they would break out by zip code. So we'd be able to identify where we're delivering the most to and who's giving us the best rate. What you can then do is evaluate after a month or two, okay, these zip codes aren't performing for us, so let's not waste our money putting them in there. Let's move our digital dollars to a different zip code. Or if it's not performing, what can we do to change that zip coding and get better performance out of it? It may be a new ad, it may be speaking to a different audience, wherever it might be. So those are all conversations that can be had to make your display advertising and your pre-roll more beneficial and give you better results. So very similar to display, this is our pre-roll. So this is the ad that would run before the story about Alex Rodriguez and J-Lo and about why they're breaking up this time. And this again will show us our mapping, the completion rates, the impressions, the clicks. And if you hover in our particular dashboard, if you hover over them, it actually does explain like number of users who click on an ad. This again is our daily metrics that define how many impressions are given every day throughout, and then it shows you the creative again as well. This is an important part of pre-roll. And when people create their digital or their video ads for pre-roll, what's an important part to see is you'll see where people don't complete, or they'll complete like the first 25%. And when you are creating and producing your ad, to get the most information in that first bit is critical, because that's where most people will either bounce out of it or move on or switch to another site or whatever. But the completion rate, who've completed 100% of this, is almost 65%, which is essentially, in this particular case, 281,679 views, which is just like 281,679 people seeing a television ad, because it's a pre-rolled video. So, except it's even more targeted than other opportunities for targeting are. So this again talks about your completion, your clicks, and your devices again. Desktop typically does a little better with video because people don't watch as much video content necessarily on a mobile device. And again, some of your placements and your geographies. And the final part is our OTT. That's what we talked a little bit about earlier, and that's the over-the-top television. So these are your streamings, your Hulus, your Peacock network, and to kind of give you an idea. And again, here's your impressions, there's your mapping on it, your daily metrics, your video, which can be or does not have to be the same thing as a television or your pre-roll. You can have different creative sets, but most people, for continuity, keep them the same throughout. Here's where people started. And again, this is OTT. So the bounce out rate is very small, because if you're watching your half-hour show or whatever it is, you're not going to not watch the last 15 minutes because you have to sit through 30 seconds. You might bounce off of a story with pre-roll, but people tend to have a higher completion rate with OTT. Some of the networks that you will see that your ad will be delivered to. So you're sitting at home on your tablet, looking at the CNN app, watching the news, and your ad appears on there. That's how it's coming from. And on CNN, they have a 98% completion rate of your ad. So this just gives you kind of an idea of some of the networks that those go on. The other thing that we look at is the devices that they're delivered on. So Roku is by far, and has been for several years, the #1 device that people use in their television to bring that data in. So that we're able to define Roku versus some of the other types of devices available. This is day parting, and this is kind of an interesting thing that I like to tell people about. because it's on demand versus, so if you're at home watching a regular television and you have your program every week from 9 to 10, we deliver that program and the TV ads, whether you're watching or not watching. That will happen between 9 and 10 p.m. With day parting and the way OTT works is that we will deliver it when that person that meets our criteria is watching. So in this particular case, there's several people, hundred thousands of people who are watching from 5 to 10, but there's a lot that are watched 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. So it kind of gives you a breakdown as to when people are viewing your ad and your content using OTT. And potentially you may want to use that to break out your different creatives and how you want to approach people, or how you want to approach people in your business in general when people are learning more about your business. And then this is the devices and the cities again, that's kind of how we take a look at that. So that is in the very short, an overview of digital advertising, the part where you're looking for them with the display advertising, the digital video, and then moving along to the analytics on our end, which will then play in part to your Google Analytics that you monitor on your end. So my name is Jennifer, and if you have any questions, please feel free to stick something in the chat, or here's my contact information. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have if I move through something too quickly, but just to kind of give you an idea of what all is available out there in the digital world.
Thank you, Jennifer. That was great information that you provided all of us. I know I learned a lot from your presentation. So as Jennifer mentioned, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. I want to remind you of our next presentation. That will be next Thursday at 11 a.m. The topic will be legal challenges that small businesses are facing in the aftermath of COVID-19. That's April 22nd, next Thursday at 11 a.m. And our speaker will be Sam Castry. He's the Senior Vice President, General Counsel with Staff Management. Also a reminder, and I'll put this in the chat, if you have any questions, if you need business assistance, small business, existing startup, I have put our contact information in the chat, or follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn at the handle Rockford SBDC. Are there any questions? Okay, we have a question from Susan. Would geofencing work for an e-commerce website?
For geofencing, you really need a geography to target a specific building or something to target. Now, if your e-commerce if your competitor has a brick and mortar, absolutely. If there's an actual, but you have to have a physical plant building to geofence. But yeah, you certainly could, because what say you were the online furniture store, you could geofence the local furniture stores and provide your ad, less expensive, or whatever your selling proposition is, that you could go ahead and do that with e-commerce. Absolutely.
Any other questions? You can go ahead and ask as well. Okay, we have another question. What is your best advice for small business owners in the aftermath of COVID-19, specifically for restaurant owners?
Is the restaurant itself, is it a like a family style or more of a fine dining type of restaurant?
It is that, family restaurants, I believe, most of them.
I'm sorry, I couldn't.
For family owner,
a type of family owned business.
Yeah.
The one thing that I would do is certainly work social media into it. I think that that's key, because again, people can talk about their special of the night and things like that, but you certainly need to brand. You can use digital advertising, or you could use pre-roll, or you could use display. you could use geofencing, but that's kind of I don't know that it would be as efficient as some of the other opportunities that you have. Because if somebody's walking into another restaurant to sit down and eat, they're probably not going to go, oh, I'm going to get up now and leave because I got an ad. But display advertising, looking at zip codes, if you're more like not necessarily a destination place, but more of a neighborhood, you might take a look at that. The other thing that if it's a small, I live in Roscoe, so something that you might want to look at is a Nextdoor. It's an efficient way. Nextdoor has some apps that you can advertise. That's something you have to contact them. I don't know anything, but I recommend Nextdoor certainly for smaller areas that you could target. Your family restaurant were open, different, because people will comment and make recommendations like, oh, I had a great meal there. So it's a little different than social media that way, but people who are in a particular community engage with that. And then I would do some display advertising with branding, just letting people know that you're there, or today's Friday night fish fry, every, Thursday and Friday you run ads. So that might be some things that you look at.
Jennifer, I got another question. I saw in the presentation that you show a website that is something like a QuincyMediaBrand.com. Is a private one or?
That's the company that owns WREX.
Oh, I see. Okay, that's
So
why
that's just who funnels that. It's just who we get our provider through, is through our owners.
So I was interested in that part that allow you to see, if you are using your dollars wisely and tell you which areas are performing lower, so in that way you can, relocate that funds. Do you know another way to get those? I know that you can check in your Google metrics, in your Facebook, and on different metrics and get an idea what's going on even in your website. But do you know any website that people can use to get this information as well? I mean, that everyone can, log in or create an account that they can use to get this kind of information?
In terms of how their ads are being delivered, or just in terms of how their whatever they're doing is being recognized?
Information about metrics, population, because sometimes that is the thing. I'm always used with our clients, the U.S. Census Bureau, or different I'm always try reliable sources. So in that way, we can provide with accurate information when we are financials in special. So I'm just wondering if you have any preference for this kind of, websites that probably we don't know. There is too many now with technology. Every day I guess that a new company brings some new deals, for entrepreneurs. So do you know, or do you recommend anyone in special that small entrepreneurs can start using to, get information and allocate much better their money, for example, when they make some boost in Facebook, for say, that they know that the right population that they are looking for is in those zip codes, for example?
I don't. I just know that census data, because sometimes I've had to pile through and just go look at this and go, okay, well, this is, I think there was some really interesting information that going back years ago in the 2010 census, like the city of Harvard, their Hispanic population was like 73%. So I was working with somebody who was looking for the Hispanic market. So we just went, and all I did was sit down and look at zip coding and kind of some intuition that I had about what zip codes to look at census data with. And then we worked off of that, but I don't know of any other, anything else that provides good census data.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, I'd like to thank you all for attending our presentation. Thank you very much, Jennifer Tragus from WREX. She's provided her contact information here if you have any additional questions. Don't forget to join us next week, and have a great weekend coming up.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye, everybody.